The European conquest of America, also known as the Age of Exploration, began in the late 15th century when European explorers first set foot on the shores of the Americas. Over the next few centuries, the conquest would lead to the establishment of colonies, the displacement of indigenous peoples, and the exploitation of resources on a massive scale. The first European explorer to reach the Americas was Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer sailing under the flag of Spain. In 1492, Columbus set sail on his first voyage to find a new route to Asia. Instead, he landed in the Caribbean, where he encountered the Taino people. Columbus claimed the land for Spain and began the process of colonization. Other European nations soon followed, including Portugal, France, and England. These nations sent explorers to map the new lands, establish trade routes, and claim territories for themselves. The Spanish, in particular, were the most successful at establishing colonies and exploiting the resources of the Americas. One of the most famous stories of the European conquest of America is the legend of El Dorado. El Dorado was a mythical city of gold that was said to exist somewhere in South America. The Spanish spent decades searching for El Dorado, hoping to find vast amounts of gold and other treasures. They never found the city, but their search led to the exploration and colonization of much of South America. Another famous story is the story of the Jamestown colony in Virginia. The colony was established by the English in 1607, and it was the first permanent English settlement in North America. The settlers faced many challenges, including conflicts with the indigenous Powhatan people and disease. However, the colony eventually grew and became the foundation for the English colonies in America. The European conquest of America had a devastating impact on the indigenous peoples who had lived on the continent for thousands of years. European diseases, such as smallpox and measles, wiped out entire populations. The Europeans also brought with them new technologies and weapons, which gave them a military advantage over the indigenous peoples. The Europeans forced many indigenous peoples to work as slaves or laborers, and they took their land and resources. One of the most tragic examples of this is the story of the Trail of Tears. In the 1830s, the U.S. government forcibly removed thousands of indigenous people from their ancestral lands in the southeastern United States and relocated them to Indian Territory in present-day Oklahoma. Thousands of people died on the journey, which became known as the Trail of Tears. The European conquest of America also had a profound impact on the environment. The Europeans exploited the natural resources of the Americas on a massive scale, cutting down forests, mining minerals, and hunting animals to near extinction. They introduced new plants and animals to the continent, which disrupted the ecological balance and caused many native species to go extinct. During the European conquest of the Americas, several major European powers established colonies in the New World. Here is a list and description of some of the major European colonies in America. 1. Spanish Empire. The Spanish were the first European power to establish colonies in the Americas, and they remained the dominant power in the region for centuries. Their colonies spanned much of South America, Central America, Mexico, and the Caribbean, and they established important cities like Mexico City, Lima, and Havana. The Spanish also brought Catholicism to the Americas, which remains an important aspect of Latin American culture to this day. 2. Portuguese Empire. The Portuguese established a major colony in Brazil, which became one of the largest and most important colonies in the New World. Brazil was rich in natural resources, particularly gold and silver, and the Portuguese also established a thriving sugar industry using enslaved labor. 3. French Empire. The French established colonies in Canada and the Caribbean, as well as Louisiana in the southern United States. Their most important colony was Quebec, which became a center of the fur trade and a major hub for French colonization in North America. 4. English Empire. The English established colonies along the eastern seaboard of North America, including Virginia, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. These colonies were initially focused on agriculture, but later became important centers of trade and commerce. The English also established colonies in the Caribbean, including Jamaica and Barbados. 5. Dutch Empire. The Dutch established colonies in the Caribbean and in what is now New York State. Their most important colony was New Amsterdam, which later became New York City. Each of these European powers had a different approach to colonizing the Americas, but all of them brought with them their own cultures, traditions, and technologies. The legacy of European colonization can still be seen in the languages, religions, and social structures of the Americas, and it remains a major part of the region's history and identity. In conclusion, the European conquest of America was a complex and multifaceted process that had profound impacts on the indigenous peoples, the environment, and the course of world history. While it led to the establishment of new colonies and the spread of European culture and values, it also caused immeasurable harm to the peoples and ecosystems of the Americas. Today, we must acknowledge this history and work to reconcile with the past in order to build a more just and equitable future for all. Here is a poem on European conquest of America. From across the sea they came, sailing on ships of wood and flame, with a hunger for land and wealth, and a thirst to conquer all else. The Europeans arrived with swords and guns, and took what was not theirs, everyone, from the forests to the plains. They claimed it all, ignoring the pains. They saw the native peoples as savages, and tried to force them into submission and vassalages. With disease and death, they were decimated. Their cultures and ways of life, all but eliminated. The land was reshaped, the forests felled. The animals hunted to extinction, so they could be sold. The rivers and streams poisoned with their greed. Their thirst for wealth, never sated, never freed. The conquest was not just of land, but of people, their beliefs, their traditions grand. Their way of life was destroyed and erased, as the Europeans claimed their place. Now we look back and see the cost. The lives lost and the cultures tossed. The damage done to the land and all its creatures, as the Europeans fulfilled their greedy features. Let us remember the price that was paid for the conquest that left so many dismayed, and work towards reconciliation and healing, so that we may all live with true meaning. We hope this video has given you a taste of all the incredible experiences Canada has to offer. If you're ready to start planning your own adventure to Canada, please ensure to use our Booking.com referral link. https://www.booking.com/index.html?8=7989335 to book your flights, hotels, car rentals, local attractions, and more. It's an easy and kind way to support this channel and make sure you get the best possible deals on your trip. Thank you. Anhub Metaverse team at Vancouver, Canada, CA.